Welcome to the Mojo Market Report. Here's your hosts, Dave Sturchio and Chris Gueci.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Mojo Market Report right here on a Tuesday. It is Dave Sturchio, the return of the Mac.
I'm back.
Chris Gueci back in the building, and of course A5 behind the glass here at Chop Studios. I have a nice little show for you today. Obviously, Super Bowl set. We talked about it yesterday. A lot coming out of the NFL through the, of course, the news cycle, because guess what? Every other team in the NFL outside of the Chiefs and the Eagles have to start prepping for 2023. So with that, there's a lot of stuff going on. But first, I'll ask you, how was your weekend?
I had a lot of fun. It was a good time. Met a lot of cool people. And
Where was it? What was it called again?
Culture Collision in Atlanta. It was a big card show.
Okay.
And it was supposed to be a card show / sneaker show. There was only like 5 sneaker vendors, so I was definitely disappointed there. But overall, great time. There was some basketball tournaments, 3-on-3 tournaments.
Did you play?
I did not play.
I
did not play.
Yeah, you don't want to dust off the old Nikes.
Sunday was like a R&R day for most of them.
And you watched the games, obviously.
Oh, I watched the football games in the comfort of my hotel room.
Right.
At that point, I could not go out on Sunday. It was over with for me.
What do you think about the games? I mean, we didn't talk. So
Oh, yeah, we didn't talk. I mean, I was highly disappointed in the way the 49ers. I was wrong. We'll just say that. I was wrong about both games.
Mark that down, folks.
Highly disappointed about
write that down. He was
the
wrong.
whole, the Eagles 49ers game. I'm sure we all understand that was a debacle.
Yeah.
People are giving Shanahan a hard time. I understand what he was doing. There was no shot, man. Like, they couldn't do anything. They were doing double reverses. It's like, oh, put McCaffrey at quarterback. It's like, give me a break. The Eagles' defense was really good. So, Eagles look strong, and they're favored, and they should be. I think the Eagles are going to win.
They're favored?
Yeah.
I thought I saw it the other way.
No, they're giving 2.
2? You sure?
I'm sure.
Okay.
Look, the Chiefs look beat up. I know they need 2 weeks.
They definitely need 2 weeks. So we talked about it yesterday.
Looked like he was like not okay at the end of that game.
Your boy in the clutch, MVS, man.
Yeah.
What a game he had. I mean, that dude just he caught, I think, 6
Sky
balls
Moore
for
on the
$1.16.
punt return. They had a couple guys step up. I'm curious to know how
They missed
Juju,
a block in the back, but nobody cares.
Yeah, definitely did. I'm curious to see what's going on with Juju.
From everything that I gather, he'll be all right. But again, Super Bowl, you can't imagine being
need the
Juju
2 weeks,
Smith-Schuster.
we'll say
My
that.
God. Like, look at that. Like, you find a new home, you get to go to the Super Bowl the following year.
Yeah.
Like, good for you, buddy. And good for Vanta Scantling. And good for all these guys that get a chance. Good for Kadarius Toney. Leaves the
Look at
Giants, and
him.
now he's in the Super Bowl.
Right, and he played well.
He did. He dropped 1 ball in the end zone. But I want to say,
I think he's hurt too.
yeah, they're all banged up. That's why guys like Sky Moore was out there, and that's why guys like another I forgot his name, but that's the problem. You forget
Number
his name.
83, was it Watson?
Yeah, dude, Watson, right? So it's like that's how thin they were, but that's a testament to how Mahomes is just that damn good, dude. He just keeps delivering.
What are your thoughts on how the game ended? I watched, but I know I have a hard time giving that kid. I feel bad. He's 22 years old. He made a play. It was an effort play. That wasn't a dirty play.
Correct. Effort play. I mean, did he push him when he was already almost sitting on the bench? Yeah, but
Mahomes
here's
sold
the thing.
it too. He flopped. No question about it.
Oh, dude. I mean, Mahomes is the new like Steph Curry to me, and LeBron and those guys. Like just like and the whole world ends
Hey,
when you
he
get
got
touched.
15 yards.
Yes, and that's the rule. But much like the unnecessary roughness on the quarterback, I think these late hit out of bounds have to be reviewed as well. Meaning, I understand they're trying to protect the quarterback as they should, right? But like what I'm looking at is if 2 guys are running full speed, gravity will tell you and physics will tell you that they can't stop.
Glad you corrected that.
Gravity, physics, same stuff. But like what I'm saying is they can't stop.
No,
this
you're
dude
right.
can't
Look,
stop. So the worst he did was like, and Mahomes went flying. And I'm like, wait a minute, timeout. You're about to roast this kid. This kid's about to get criticized throughout the media.
He's 22. He's a young kid. He's
22? And how about his teammate? Forget that. Like, are you kidding
Micah
right
Parsons caped up for him in the.
Yeah, dude. Well,
Come
Micah
on.
Parsons has been in the news for way too much. He's rooting for the Eagles. I was like,
What's going on, Micah?
I'm like, wait, Micah, hold on. You're my man. I love you to death, but you can't root for the Eagles in the
What's
Super
going on
Bowl.
in the city? What happened there?
New York?
What's going on with the Empire State Building?
That was a
What is
topic of
going on?
conversation.
I understand that there's like a couple Eagles fans from around here, but give me a break.
Yeah, apparently the NFL told him to do it.
Oh,
That's what I'm hearing. So when the NFL calls and they bark, they bark. Then you have to just listen to them.
that's embarrassing.
It is embarrassing.
That is embarrassing.
The fact that
what
like,
would the NFL have done if you said no? Nothing.
Nothing. Shoot off a couple fake fireworks. Did you see that, by the way? Fake fireworks outside. Fake pyro. CGI. And I'm like, and my brother was like, yeah, that's definitely fake. I'm like, no, it's real. And then I'm like, no, actually, it's not real at all. But anyway, that was the weekend. I'm glad you had a good weekend. Welcome back to the show. Lots to get into. News coming out yesterday, and we'll bring him up. Our boy, Brock Purdy, our boy, the man who single-handedly took down the Seahawks and the Dallas Cowboys, also tore his UCL.
Single-handedly.
Well, you know what I'm talking about. Tore his UCL. He's going to be out 6 months, which puts him at around June, July, if you're thinking about it. Like, so OTAs, no go. Minicamp, no go. Training camp, sure, we'll be back, but in a limited capacity. I ask you this, as his stock, unfortunately, after the injury,
plummets.
Everybody's stock plummeted, and I felt bad because it's like, for weeks we're like, yeah, get in. And I don't know how much people are investing in this stuff, and I'm hoping that people are doing it responsibly. But if you didn't, and you're like, dude, this kid, what's to stop him? If he loses, it's not like it's going to go down. He's going to have himself a game. The fact that he got hurt brings him down. Now, I ask you, all of a sudden, Mojo brought this up on Twitter yesterday. They put up like a little bit of a graphic. I talked about it a little bit yesterday, but I want your opinion. Who's the starting quarterback of the 49ers next year when they get under center in week 1?
I think it's Trey Lance. I thought it would have been Trey Lance even if Brock Purdy wasn't hurt.
Really?
Yeah, we're kind of talking like that anyway, based on the investment that they made in the guy, based on the fact that when Jimmy G was talking about possibly being back for the NFC Championship, the 49ers were saying we may have Jimmy G for the NFC Championship. They weren't saying whether he was going to start or not, but usually when you say things like that, they weren't talking because they were going to have him be the backup. At least that's not my opinion.
My only thing is this, and the 49ers, and I've said this yesterday, they have, to me, disrespected all the success that these backup quarterbacks are having. Like last year when they were talking about Trey Lance, in the midst of a run, you know, they're running through the NFC. The Cowboys got beat. The Packers got beat in Lambeau. Like, this kind of stuff was happening with Jimmy G, and all of a sudden you're like, Trey Lance is the guy. Don't worry about it.
Depending on time, we may get to some quarterbacks later. And it feel like we're going to have this conversation a lot in the next couple months where it's Brock Purdy. The 49ers are getting credit for saying, look, you don't have to draft this quarterback that's, you know, you could get a guy late. Look at Brock Purdy, doesn't fit the prototype. I mean, they did the exact opposite by trading up for Trey Lance.
This isn't running backs.
They did the exact opposite trading up for Trey Lance, and they're going to make the same decision probably this offseason. I understand that the injury probably alleviates that concern. You know, Trey Lance is hurt, but he got hurt early in the year, and this is an elbow. It's a different. This is on his throw.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
We don't know how he's going to respond. We don't know how
listen, I don't want to be the complete mush on his career, but he may never be the same. You know, I mean, he's a young guy, and I'm sure.
I think he'll get an opportunity at least. He might not be the same again, though.
I just don't think it's necessary to put your chips or eggs in one basket right now. You know, to make a decision right now is a little premature, and I think that Brock Purdy did enough for you as an organization to keep you relevant. Okay. Every other team could have folded.
Now, everybody's talking like Brock Purdy should be the quarterback going forward, etc. If you put Brock Purdy on the Texans and Davis Mills on the 49ers, do you think the 49ers were losing football games this year?
So it's a system thing?
I think it's a system thing.
You think he's surrounded by enough talent that he can't lose?
And I'm not trying to discredit what Brock Purdy's been able to do because either way, system or not, you got to go out there and perform. And he's done that.
Yeah.
I just think with Shanahan's, you look at the way his dad was with running backs and the zone blocking scheme, they would get rid of a running back after a 1,000-yard season. They had like 4 guys out of nowhere. Mike Anderson, Olandis Gary. There was a lot of Bronco players from that era, right? Post Terrell Davis that were ripping off 1,000-yard seasons and then they were gone. 1,000 yards, gone. 49ers, Shanahan did this same thing. Jimmy G comes in. They had Trey Lance pegged to be the guy. Jimmy G comes in. They don't miss a beat. They actually get better. Jimmy G then goes down. Guess what? They get better. Granted, they got McCaffrey that game, but...
Right. So, I mean, look, it remains to be the same. If you want to bring up Trey Lance, you can, because that's the next guy, because his stock, look at that. You know what I mean? Like, all signs point to you're the guy. Now, remember, I was an early investor in Trey Lance, and so were you. When this Mojo came out, you had all his rookie cards and everything, you know, all the autographed helmets and everything. We were all in on a Trey Lance. You break your ankle the way he did, and you're like, oh, man. And then you saw it go kapow. It was done, right? But now with this UCL thing with Brock Purdy, Jimmy G is laughing his way out of San Francisco. Did you see that, by the way?
I mean,
it's like an employee, a disgruntled employee putting in their 2 weeks, and it's their last day.
I just want everybody to understand that the players, most of them don't care as much as you do. As a fan, these guys are making a ton of money. They're going out and
don't tell me that.
I'm telling you that.
I don't want to hear that.
If that's not any indicator,
it is.
And that's not even a knock on Jimmy G. The guy wasn't playing. He's injured. It's like you want your team to win, but what do you really like? We're adults, right? He's going home to what? His mansion. Poor Jimmy G.
I'll never forget.
Poor Jimmy G.
I'll never forget the backlash that Aroldis Chapman felt when he gave up that home run. He was smiling about it, but it was almost like a nervous tick. Like, oh my God, did I just do that? You know what I'm saying?
These guys are out there trying their best. I don't buy that they're not.
Well,
just because
Jimmy G wasn't trying to do anything. He's sitting there. So let's be honest.
Was he in his uniform?
I don't think so. He was not dressed. I think it was in a hoodie. So Jimmy G out. Brock Purdy possibly out.
We're looking at the before they announced that it was a UCL. I'm sure that there was some people.
I thought he dislocated his elbow.
I'm sure there was some people in the know after the game had ended that this injury was going to be a little more significant because he couldn't even throw. Right. So the stock dropped right away. But then after they announced the injury, Trey Lance's stock didn't go up too much, and Brock Purdy's stock didn't go down much more. And it's then it becomes official. That's when you would think it would actually take place. I think it's because the market thinks the way I think, that even if this injury happened or didn't happen, Trey Lance was going to be the guy going forward, or at least was going to get an opportunity. Brock Purdy's going to have to beat out Trey Lance in camp to win that job, and vice versa. I think there's going to be an open competition.
We'll see. We'll see. Another quarterback controversy? Nah, I don't want to paint it as a controversy at all. But some stories have broke. You could bring up Jordan Love because now his stock is surging. Why is that, Chris? Why? Why would Jordan Love's stock just start surging to the moon again after not doing literally anything in 2022?
Well, little by little all season, he's been going up. So I think as Aaron Rodgers...
It's like the clock ticks on Rodgers' play.
The potential for Rodgers' career to be over is there still. The potential that he's going to get traded is there still. And then there's, I think, a bigger potential than both of those combined is that he's going to be the Packers quarterback next year because a lot of moving parts, a lot of money needs to be moved, a lot of things. There's a lot going on with the Aaron Rodgers situation. According to Aaron Rodgers, it's all conjecture at this point because he hasn't made his decision. So will he be traded or won't he be traded? Is he going to play is the first bridge that we have to cross.
Well, maybe that isn't his decision to make all of a sudden. Reports coming out that the Packers want to move on. So it's like, who cares if Aaron Rodgers wants to play? That's cool, you're out.
It's so funny you say that. If that is the case and the Packers want to move on, I'm sure Aaron Rodgers would have no problem being moved to a team because the way they structured the rework last year was that the Packers don't really have any chips in this one. They have to trade him to a team that he wants to go to, basically. And I think he'd be okay with it. And as a Packer fan, I love Aaron Rodgers. But you have to understand, and I do understand this, it's a business. And we cannot lose Jordan Love. If we are in a position, I say we as a Packer fan, if the Packers are in a position to get a first and a second and a player, or 2 firsts and a player, and alleviate some of the cap issues, even though trading him isn't going to alleviate many cap issues this season, but it'll end it after this season. That's important. After this season, if they don't trade him or he doesn't retire after this season, the cap hit is like $68 million. It's intense. So they're really handcuffed. They need Aaron Rodgers to play, and not only play, but play well. And if Rodgers comes back to the Packers, you could expect another rework where it's team-friendly, a much more team-friendly deal.
Well, let me put your GM hat on. Be Gutengoose for a second, right? That's his name, right?
I'm trading him if I'm the GM, and I don't care.
Right now?
Right now.
You're like, the hell with it. It's over. The era is over.
You have to look at what it could possibly do to the next decade of football in Green Bay.
The cap just went up, just so everybody's aware. Okay,
it was always gonna.
Yeah, because it's going to keep going up.
It was always going to go up. They needed it to because even if they trade him, they're taking a massive hit. Whoever trades for Aaron Rodgers, it's an easy trade for because you can't take on the money. He was already paid it in the signing bonus. The cap hit is staying with Green Bay. They paid him that money. And you're willing to – the reason why it's almost in a way possibly better for the Packers in that sense is because I think that because of that, they're going to be able to ask for more in return. Because it's like, oh, we don't have to pay him, so we'll give up all this because we could – still pay free agents.
So you're cool with just parting with a legend?
Am I cool with it? Am I cool with it? Absolutely not. I hope Rodgers stays as a fan. you're asking me if I'm the GM.
Yeah,
right.
that's
If I'm
true.
the GM, I can't worry about what the fans think. I have to do what I know is right, and you have to make the hard choice. I can promise you this: if Jordan Love goes on to be a successful quarterback, not even a great quarterback, a successful quarterback, is going to burn really bad. If Aaron Rodgers retires at the end of next season and we have to trade Jordan Love, or we lose the chance to re-sign him long term because he's just bitter towards the franchise because of how it went down. If Rodgers stays, they have to come to Jordan Love with some more money and do
What
something
pick
nice for
do the
guy.
Packers have?
15.
Question. Hypothetical, of course. If the Rodgers thing happens and they pick up a first and two firsts, right? And they also have their own.
No, they're not drafting a quarterback.
You're not trading up to get one of these premium guys?
No, we have Jordan Love.
I understand that, but they don't know what they have in Jordan Love.
I think if anybody knows what they have in Jordan Love,
No, but what I'm saying is, what if they know that they have the potential to grab a Jets pick or grab a
the
Colts
Jets
pick?
13.
But I'm saying, and then you just compile those and trade the hell up. If they know that in their minds, they can move. Now, I'm not trying to play Madden here, but I'm saying,
I
like,
understand, but then,
two of those
but
picks,
then
you
they
can get
have
up to the
then
top
they have
five.
to trade Jordan Love too.
Fine, but
So-
that's what I'm saying. Like, if they think this is a complete thing, would you consider?
I would rather have Jordan Love than
that completely
I'd
shuts
rather
it
have
down. It's a
Jordan
rebuild.
Love than any quarterback that's in this draft right now as a Packer because he's been in the system for 3 years already. He
Fair.
hasn't had another head coach besides LaFleur. I could imagine that a lot of the players are probably lobbying for a Jordan Love move for him to be the starter.
Another question for you: who was the backup quarterback to Brett Favre when they
Doug
drafted?
Peterson or Matt Hasselbeck?
One of those two, right?
Probably Peterson.
Whoever it was, I don't think it was Peterson because that's far. I mean,
He was the backup for 15 years.
yeah, but I just don't feel like in any event. When did Rodgers get drafted? Because now I'm curious.
07?
Okay, so Packers depth chart, 2007. Because I want to know. Because I'm going to bring that same question to you. Here's rosters and players. Here we go. Let's see. Brett Favre, Ryan Grant, who definitely beat me in a fantasy playoff game. That was rough. So now if I'm looking at quarterbacks, I'm going to go 2006 because Rodgers is on the team here. Because this is a big question here.
Because that was his rookie
Right,
year.
so
Yeah.
Packers roster. Of course, it's not going to find it when I need it. So, but what my question is this: regardless of who it was, right? Let's just say the
It
backup,
wasn't anybody good.
but the backup's been in the system, and he knows the offense. And Rodgers and Alex Smith and guys in that draft class were like, they're right there for the taking. You're saying right now that you wouldn't take a chance on somebody because they're not in the system. You would rather take the guy that's been in the system. But what if these guys are coming out of college are that good?
Well, I think what we're seeing a lot out of these quarterbacks that come out of college, and we're going to talk hopefully about this in a second, is that with the Zach Wilsons of the world, like, how do you know that Zach Wilson is a bust? How do we know? I think with the we need it to happen now thing that we have going on in sports, specifically at the quarterback position, where it's like you spend capital on a player, you want to play him now. We have guys thinking that quarterbacks of the future are drafted in the 4th round because they were drafted that season. Like Malik Willis, when's he going to get his shot? Malik Willis is probably not a starter in this league. You know, most quarterbacks that get drafted first round are not starters in this league. They don't pan out. We've talked about this.
We have talked about this at
It's
length.
just, the way I look at it, if you have a guy, there's tremendous value to me in having a guy who is a first-round talent sit for 3 years behind a Hall of Fame quarterback with a coach that has won 13 games 2-3 years in a row. I think there's a tremendous value there, and I would not want to get rid of that. And then when we saw Jordan Love, what he did in the preseason, Jordan Love looked really good in the preseason. We saw Jordan Love come in the game against Philly, sporadic playing time, and he looked really good.
Okay, just so we're aware and clear, because I had to bring this up. You're way off on the draft day. It's actually, he was drafted in 04.
04.
You're right. So that's not just good. I mean, that's an honest mistake.
So his first year that he started was 07 or 08.
yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, because 07 was no, 07 was Favre. He lost to the Giants.
Yeah,
right?
so 08 was his first year as a starter.
So the quarterbacks on the roster when Rodgers was drafted was Favre, Craig Nall, and JT O'Sullivan. So it's like when you're looking at that at the end of his career and he's on his way out and you're starting to think, okay, what do we do here? Do we, like, Favre's about to retire or we move Favre, right? Craig Nall's been in the system for 2-3 years and you're like, all right, let's see what we got. Or draft Aaron Rodgers.
Well,
or Alex Smith or whoever else was in that class.
Here's the thing. The reason why...
I know this is a long, drawn-out conversation, but this is a massive move.
But what you're trying to do here, not you specifically, but in this scenario you're playing out, you're missing one major point, is that Jordan Love was a first-round pick. JT O'Sullivan, Craig Nall, these guys were picked up as a backup quarterback, maybe third
to the most durable quarterback in history.
To a guy that like wasn't sitting, right? And they already had Jordan. Like, now if we could go to the next point, when Favre was about to retire and Aaron Rodgers hadn't said a word, it was like back and forth with Favre. Would you think that the Packers should have drafted a quarterback in the first round, traded Rod? You know what I mean? Like, they had the guy, they seen what he was, and they gave him the job. I wouldn't be surprised if they do something similar. Now, also looking at it, Aaron Rodgers right now is the same age that Favre was when he retired. So it's like when they drafted...
Retired or traded to the Jets?
Or traded to the Jets. Okay. When Aaron Rodgers was drafted, or when Jordan Love was drafted, Aaron Rodgers was the same age that Brett Favre was when Aaron Rodgers was drafted. So there's a lot of parallels there.
Okay.
And nowhere in those parallels does JT O'Sullivan or Craig Nall fit.
No disrespect to you guys. I'm sure your market price was fantastic.
Packers Nation or Packers fan base is split down the middle on this issue. And winning football games, if Aaron Rodgers goes to another team, it'll be in the AFC, I hope. And
that's what they've said.
If he goes to the AFC, fine. If he doesn't, that will stink. But if Jordan Love wins football games, nobody's going to care.
This is true. The whole thing is winning cures all. I understand that. Speaking of going to the AFC, you see my boy Kellen Moore?
Where's he going?
Chargers. He's going to work with Justin Herbert. How about that? All right, let's bring up a couple college guys before we get out of here today.
He gets to work with a real quarterback now.
You're not coming back. Ooh. You're not coming back from a little bit of a burner and out and being gone to go. That was fun. That's great. Fun. The layup was there, presented to him, and he swatted it away. Anyway, moving on.
That was a fast break layup.
Stetson Bennett. Okay, we're going to bring him up. Hello, plummet. One, don't do what you did because the reports are coming out.
Way too old for this.
Way too old for this. Stetson Bennett. He's not underage drinking by any stretch because he's been able to drink for the last decade. Okay, but when it comes to Stetson Bennett's draft capital, you might want to start talking about. I don't know about this guy because all of a sudden he's a party animal at the age of 28. But I needed to bring him up because I want to bring up the other guys that are kind of starting to climb up the charts. But with Bennett, did you ever think in your mind, is this like a Chris Winkie situation where he does get drafted, but he just doesn't?
He's going to get an opportunity. Everyone does.
Even Jake from State Farm got an opportunity, and nobody's heard from him again.
Championships. Granted, he's pretty much the Brock Purdy of college football because he has no business being a national champion based on I shouldn't say that. He did well, but we understand the real reason why Georgia is the national champions. It's
Stetson Bennett.
Oh, good.
You like that?
Yeah, Stetson Bennett. I'm not a fan. I don't think he's going to do well in the NFL. But him getting drunk, no big deal to me. You know?
Public intoxication. We've all been there.
I think he understands he's not going to be in the NFL too.
Okay.
I did meet like the entire Georgia football team.
Even Stetson Bennett?
No, he wasn't.
Are you the reason he got arrested?
No, I wasn't. He wasn't there. But I was in Atlanta, and they were on Saturday. They had the Georgia football team. There was like 30 of them.
Really?
I met John Rocker.
No way. Atlanta legend John Rocker.
I wouldn't say he's a.
Did you have him sign a D-volt battery? Because that's what the Mets fans were chucking at him in '94.
Let me just say, John Rocker is a massive individual. Like
John Rocker, what a legend. My boy Kevin would go crazy for that. He has his jersey and everything.
I'm not sure if we're allowed to like John Rocker.
Is he a bad guy? Like overall? Like did he do bad things after baseball?
Do you know the whole thing about John Rocker, Dave? You should.
I probably should Google it after the show, but I'll digress. I'll tap out on the conversation. What do you have to say
about like the New Yorkers on the subway? Like
going
in.
Yeah, I mean that's why he got the batteries thrown at him.
He was canceled
before cancel culture was a thing.
Like he was no joke about that.
Bring up Will Levi real quick, quarterback from Kentucky. So according to Kuiper, he's being drafted 5th overall with the Denver selection to Seattle. So that's one of Denver's picks that would have been Denver's had they not given up the farm for a Russ Wilson. Will Levi, NFL capabilities here? I mean, like, is this a Zach Wilson situation where all of a sudden
I was just gonna say, look,
he's climbing the ranks for no reason?
I wouldn't say it's for no reason. He fits the mold of a quarterback. When you look at him, he looks like a pro quarterback. But Kentucky had a decent year.
I don't look
largely
at
due to
Kentucky
him.
as I look at them as a basketball program, not a football
Fair,
program.
but
Same thing with Duke with Daniel Jones.
That's fair, but they're playing in the SEC. So if he has
Competition is
if you're
there.
going out there and you're performing well as the quarterback of Kentucky, and you look at who they're playing every week, you got to give some credit where it's due. That said, I think he struggled a little bit. He turned the ball over too much for me. When you put nobody out there and he's running 7-on-7, he looks like he's the best quarterback on earth. But then when you put him in a defense with a defense out there, I don't think it's going to work out for Will Levis. And whoever drafts him that early, I don't know when they're going to catch on, man. Like, we're seeing Brock Purdy do it. We're seeing a couple other guys come out of nowhere. You don't need to draft a quarterback 10th or 5th just because you're desperate. There's going to be another opportunity. I mean, easy for me to say, but
if you're Seattle, Geno ain't the long term. So if this guy's a project, then this is perfect for him.
But to understand, Geno was the 5th pick or something, 3rd pick overall or something like that.
Long time ago.
And look how long it took him to materialize. It's
This year.
hard. You're going to draft Will Levis, and he might never, ever, ever be as good as Geno was this season, ever in his career.
Okay. One more guy. Okay. This is Anthony's boy. He's a big Gators guy over there. He loves Anthony Richardson of Florida. Okay. Some reason, Kuiper's got him being drafted to the Carolina Panthers. Now, I say some reason, they definitely need a quarterback. Frank Reich, does he fit his system? Right now, what Kuiper's saying is that he's definitely not a year one guy.
Yeah, I think
how is that even a thing? If you're the Panthers, you need a year one guy. No? You can't sit around and get blown out again.
I saw Malik Willis get all the way up into the 1st round in some mocks. I saw Malik Willis might even go in the top 5 in some mocks, and he went in the 4th round or 3rd round.
Yeah, it was late.
So
out of Liberty, yeah.
I'm not going to get too ahead of myself here. He's not the best passer. He has a turnover issue as well. He could run the football well. But these guys aren't NFL quarterbacks to me. I'm sorry, Anthony. You're a Giants fan. You'd rather have Daniel Jones, I'm sure, as much as you love Florida and Anthony. It's just not going to happen. If they waste a top 10 pick, we've seen the Jake Lockers, we've seen it happen too many times. 1 or 2 quarterbacks in the 1st round is where I'm at. 1 or 2, and honestly, there may not even be a good quarterback in this draft period for all we know. I'm not saying that.
No, listen, and there's reasons behind to back that up.
We've gone through this, and you see there's about 25 guaranteed starting jobs in the NFL right now, right? That these quarterbacks aren't going anywhere. And then if Brady comes back, it's 28. It keeps on going up.
It keeps going down. If Rodgers goes play somewhere else, it's less.
And then Jordan Love automatically gets that
job.
Right,
so that job goes away.
How many opportunities really are there? There's only a few.
We'll see.
Derek Carr is a much better option to
Derek Carr is somebody we want to definitely dive into this week as well, because look, all of a sudden, things aren't in motion. And what we said is, if you're going to move Carr, you got to move him fast. If you're the Jets right now, you got to make a decision. Are you all in on Aaron Rodgers, or are you going to settle for a Derek Carr? Because compensation will be very, very different to get them guys.
19 interceptions this season combined between Will Levis and Anthony Richardson.
That's not good.
So it's college football. There's only
Dak threw 16, so we made it to the playoffs.
All right, now add 7 games or 5 games to them.
Well, Dak did it less. It's a very impressive number.
And now also add NFL.
Okay, yeah, those are costly. But anyway, so a little conversation here about some of the potential college quarterbacks, and obviously keep your eyes on the Rodgers situation, keep your eyes on the 49ers situation. There's been rumors already to Tom Brady to the Bay again, which is going to drive me nuts. If this guy goes to San Fran, I was talking to a good friend of mine who's a 49er fan. He goes, I would 1,000% sign up for Tom Brady for 1 year right now with the roster that's perfect.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, I guess that makes the most sense, right? And I'm thinking there's no way, no how, no Brady, no Niners. That doesn't make any sense. It makes sense now. It makes sense now. Because of his injury, it makes sense now.
What else makes sense about it? Tom Brady will probably go there really cheap.
It's his hometown. It's he's going back home, finish his career to be Joe Montana. So, in any event. Anyway.
And then, worst case scenario is you have Trey Lance to spell Tom Brady and just give another element to that offense as he gets healthy.
No, I don't want to hear that.
So you put, instead of Jimmy G and Trey Lance, it's Tom Brady.
Tom Brady to the Niners.
Yeah, the Eagles would destroy them anyway. Again,
we shall see.
Tom Brady would have gotten hit the same way. It would have been the same.
Dust.
Everybody, can we put that to bed, by the way? That the 49ers lost because the quarterbacks, they knocked him out. We all realize that, right? They knocked him out of the game.
Yeah, it was early.
It's not like
They can't win with a fourth stringer, dude.
No, I understand, but it's not a lucky win when you're the ones that knock them out. It would be like if you Brock Purdy started, did he not?
Yeah, right? He was there.
And he got trucked, blasted, and Hassan
Reddick's the man. Reddick. That team's going to be – all I'm saying is, Patrick, ice that ankle if it's really hurt the way it is. And even though I think it's
it's too early for predictions. And
we'll get into the Super Bowl as it gets closer.
Flip-flop back and forth, but
I flip-flopped a little bit over the course of the first day. And I'm just like, it's definitely this. Nah, maybe this.
Eagles are a good team.
We'll get into it. Anyway, go follow us on social media right now, ladies and gentlemen. Over on TikTok, Instagram, and, of course, I said TikTok already. Twitter, how about that? 2 T's. At Mojo, M-O-J-O. Very easy to find us. They're the reasons why we sparked this conversation between Brock Purdy and Trey Lance, because they were asking the masses, so we're asking the masses. We're asking our listeners and viewers over here. So you can also follow us on Discord. Visit mojo.com for all the up-to-date stuff. Download the app right now. App keeps getting better. I was on it yesterday. I couldn't get off it. I felt like it was TikTok. I kept just exploring the app because there's so much news. You can find it right there on your phone. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to research anything. They're doing all the research for you, so do that. And that'll do it, all in one breath. So for Dave Sturchio, Chris Gueci's back in the house, and of course, A5, Anthony behind the glass here at Chop Studios. This has been another episode of the Mojo Market Report, back here on a hump day tomorrow morning.
Yay.